welcome everyone to this panel, which we will be discussing how the mining sector can make the world a better place. I'm very pleased to be joined by 4 expert speakers from across the industry. We have Ted Feldman, CEO of Durin Mining Technologies, Stephanie Saliba, President of Young Mining Professionals here in Riyadh. Then we have Saad Al-Qahtani, General Manager of the Ma'aden Barrick Copper Company, and Hassan Al-Ghamdi, Operational Development Manager from Saudi Comidat. Thanks for joining. I'm looking forward to getting your perspectives shortly. So to set the scene, this audience will be well versed in the importance of the mining industry. It's one of the very oldest of humankind industry, and the last few decades have brought it into the global spotlight for both the right and the wrong reasons. It's been described as the fundamental building blocks for global economies. It's often one of the first industries to move into the emerging markets, bringing employment, huge economic benefits, and allowing other industries to follow. It's primarily known as a producer of raw materials, but we're going to discuss a whole lot more to that today. We know the electrification process is real, and we know the importance of the decarbonisation. 90% of copper is used in electrification, and 80% of lithium mined goes into everyone's batteries. And almost all iron ore produced is used for infrastructure. But without mining, there is none of these. So it's also facing its own challenges, and it's arguably more important today than it's ever been. So we're going to look at some of the challenges it's facing and how we can address those on this panel. So let's start with some of the legacy perception issues, if I may. And we'll start with Ted, who is a young entrepreneur who's recently entered in the mining industry with his business Durin. Ted, let's hear from you about your perception of the mining industry before you joined and before you formed Durin. What's your background?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for moderating. It's great to be here at FMF. I was fortunate enough to grow up with family in the mining industry. So I've been around this, or talking about mining around the dinner table for many years. Professionally entered when I was 17 with an internship at a junior mining company. But through high school and college, had many, many conversations with friends, professors, and others online about mining. And my peers did not seem interested at all. But when we got to really talk about why is mining important and actually look at videos and show some of them in real life, what does mining actually do? The perception changed really as they learn more. So yeah, going into my background, got into mining end of high school-ish, but also was very interested in programming and robotics. And so went on to study computer science at Georgia Tech, actually just graduated about a month ago. And through school, went to mining conferences, site visits, talking to hundreds of people, learning about the challenges in this industry. And the challenge that I became very interested in is drilling, number one, cost and exploration. And so ended up spending a lot of time researching that and founded Durin towards the middle of last year. And we brought on a few hires and raised some capital, and we are now building equipment. But positive perception, but not so for many of my peers.
Yeah, and great to see someone from outside the mining industry coming in with a different background. Stephanie, let's come to you. You studied mining engineering and have had a career in consulting. What led you into the industry, and what were your viewpoints from your youth?
Yeah, of course. So before going into mining, I actually will admit I knew very little about it. I did not know about mining. In fact, if you look at the Gen Z today, they walk into an Apple store to buy an iPhone. There is no awareness into what goes into producing these iPhones. There's so many metals and minerals in an iPhone, but there's no awareness. And sometimes I talk to people, I say I work in mining. Crypto mining? No, actual mining, which is thousands of years old, and crypto mining is so recent. So going into mining, I didn't know much about it. And it just, I stumbled upon very randomly. I knew I liked geology, I liked mechanical engineering, and I was attracted by mining for the adventure it presented. And it turned out to be a very, very interesting program, studies. It was McGill offered a co-op program, so I did both studying and working in the mining industry, which was great, hands-on experience. And right afterwards, I switched into consulting, but I've always kept a foot into mining. And this is what's beautiful about the mining industry. You can have a mining background, but it does open doors to work in any industry, as long as you're able to come back and bring this knowledge into mining, which is great.
Yeah, it's fantastic to hear that, how it keeps bringing it back. And Saad, talk a bit about your background and your role now, please.
Yeah, actually, my background is chemical engineering. So most of my experience, around 20 years working in petrochemical sectors, specifically in SABIC company, which is, the second largest petrochemical company globally. 3 years ago, I decided to enter mining because of, the ambitious target put in by our government's leader, part of our Saudi Vision 2030, to put the mining as a third pillar in our, economic industrial sectors. So I have decided and joined Ma'adin Barik Jabal Side Mine, which is a JV between Ma'adin and Barik, producing, copper concentrate.
Yeah, that's right. It's been in production for about 10 years, so we'll hear about that in a bit more. And Hassan, your business is a large mining contractor in the kingdom. Tell us about your background and what your role is at the moment.
Actually, I joined my background actually in geologist engineer and master business administration. I joined Comidat maybe 11 years back. I came from the background of cement plant and cement factory. I have around 19 years experience in this field with the oil and gas, then the cement factory, then currently with the Comidat. We are one of the biggest mining contract here in Saudi with the Ma'adin and phosphate mining. We are mining around 30 million BCM per year. Our contract actually we started in 2009 and it will be end by 2029. We are bidding for many other projects and hopefully we'll get more and more projects in the future.
Wonderful. Thanks, Hassan. Let's just come back to Durin, Ted, if that's all right, and understand why you've sort of left university and launched a brand new business into the mining industry. What led you to do that, and what's the opportunity that you see from your drilling technologies?
Yeah. I love mineral exploration, is what it comes down to. I searched for a couple of years through school on what is the technology that can both speed up, lower the cost of mineral exploration, and involves my interest in computer science and robotics. And so stumbled onto this drilling problem, more than half of exploration spend, and talked to kind of hundreds of exploration companies. And the common complaint was drilling's expensive and slower than we'd like. And so then I spent a while doing a deep dive on the actual technology, looking at what are the OEMs coming out with, and I was not impressed with their pace of innovation. And so figured we could take a sort of Silicon Valley startup type mentality to this equipment. It's been done in other sections of hardware, hasn't really been brought to mining. And so started Durin almost a year ago to do just that. And so we are building a fully autonomous diamond core drilling rig. It's myself and four other engineers at this point. We are drilling our first hole, aiming to go down about 500 meters in February. At the start, it is essentially a remotely operated rig. We are in real time adjusting RPM, weight on bit, fluid pressure, stuff like that, based on mechanical feedback on the rig, as well as vibrations, as well as developing autonomous rod handling, mud mixing, and core extraction. And so it is essentially a robotics technology company, building mining equipment and aiming to operate that equipment as well. And we are currently negotiating pilots with a mining company in the Southwest U.S., as well as several junior explorers.
Yeah, and great to hear that you've raised money out of the US for this sector. Let's just talk a little bit about the mining sector and perhaps its historic resistance to embrace new technologies and change to improve efficiencies. That seems to have changed over the last decade. Stephanie, what's your view on why it's been so resistant to change and what's happened recently to address that?
If you think about the mining industry, it's a very empirical industry in the sense that if you look at, there is no two mines similar. Deposits are different. Open pit depths of, or underground, the depths is different. The commodity is different. The types of rock is different. And there is no exact science to doing mining. And I think this has been part of the difficulty. Also, what has changed in recent years, the acquisition of data and the ease to capture that data has facilitated a lot of the implementation of technology. So that explains a little bit about why. So very empirical industry, but also if you look at today, there is an incredible business case for why we need technology. Number one, safety. The more so you want to at some point to take away the human from the face of mining. We will have to get there, but of course we will still need humans to do a lot of the thinking behind this. But to make this very safe, eventually we'll want to take the human away from some of the riskier positions. So of course, number one, safety, and then there is this incredible deposits are making much, much harder. They're deeper, and the grade is lower. So, and there's this incredible pressure to be more productive and more efficient when we run mining operations. So that definitely is a big use case for technology and AI. And I do want to also point out that mining generates a lot of data. So if we're able to capture the data and then use it, then we certainly have a great opportunity for what technology can mean for mining.
Yeah, and you often hear that it's much easier to build a new mine with new technologies rather than retrofit new technologies into processing plants and infrastructure. Saad, your mine came into production in 2015, 2016, but then increased production quite significantly a few years later. What new sort of innovations have you adopted at this copper mine in the kingdom?
We have, innovative a lot and adapt a lot of technologies. As Stephanie mentioned, let's say safety, for example, we have adapting a drone surface. So now drone is surveying our stockpile, surveying the TSF, and some, let's say, critical, places where it's become now for safe operation. Also the tele-remote, mining. At some stages in the underground mine, it is risky for people to go there, so totally remote. In the process optimization and to create more efficiency in the process also, we have created real-time monitoring systems. This will monitor the data and will, through the machine learning, it will, notify the operators to adjust the operation parameters frequently. Also now we are, in communication with some government, some companies or vendors to automate further the heavy equipment, because it's one of the risky practices and especially underground mine is heavy equipment and its operation. So we want to maximize, adapting of these technologies.
And we've heard from mining companies, particularly with the use of autonomous drilling, when you're having to do your blasting, you don't have to exit or ask everyone to leave, so you reduce the downtime. Hassan, do you agree the industry's been slow to adopt new technologies, and what's your view on why that's changed over the last decade?
Actually, it is not a slow down, but to implement any new technology, you will have some resistance from some company. And to implement that one, you need to invest a lot of money on that one. If you own the mine, then it will be easy and it will be not difficult for any investor. And when you invest any money, you will look first thing for the payback period when you will get it. And I agree 100% in this technology. It's supposed to be implemented in all the mine, because this it will help the company to the efficiency, improve the efficiency, reduce the safety, reduce the human or employee exposure to the risk, and improve also the effectiveness of the machine. And you will have more and more data and information from each machine, which will allow you to analyze it and have the real time information compared to the human or operator. And also the mistake in that information, it will be lower than the human mistake where you use the paper or pen to write all and every details. Also, it will help you to have more accurate in the programming or in the mining industry. In the mining, each mining company is looking how much PCM I am going to produce and how much this it will cost me and what is my profit it will coming and when it will coming. The automation of the machine and the automation of all the system, it will give you the accurate and correct information to improve your performance and the payback period also.
Yeah, and that data point so valuable, because that interesting relationships between geologists and engineers is hopefully a legacy one now, as data is brought together and you can really see and reconcile the data of grade, for example, all the way through the plant. Let's talk about the direction of these new technologies. Ted, with your new business, are you seeing mining companies being relatively welcoming to autonomous drilling?
I think so. I think one of the things that helps is framing the business as a services business, a contractor. Essentially, we are drilling holes. Our technology almost doesn't matter. We are drilling holes faster, cheaper, safer. Yes, but really we are delivering the service to our customers. And so I think framing it that way, it drives adoption, really. And I think we're going to see this a lot more across the mining sector. Our technology companies not necessarily trying to sell their technology, but really their services enabled by their technology. And then, yeah.
Well, I think your calling card, by the sounds of it, is the lower operating costs, significantly reducing their exploration spend.
Yeah, exactly. And what a lot of the companies we talked to have said is we are an early stage company. Basically, drill a hole, and then if you're able to drill for less, yes, please drill. These are customers who are exploration companies are very cost sensitive, and so anything we can do to help them save costs is interesting for them.
And Stephanie, with your consulting background, what do you think gets the mining companies to sit up and pay attention to new technologies? Is it purely cost?
No, it's a lot of things. Cost is one part of it. I think when it comes to technology, a lot of mining companies are a little bit averse to be the first one to try something. So they like proven technology, one. Second, what's very hard about AI and technology is to scale them. And to scale these technologies. So we may have the proof of concept and it may work, but how do you take this technology and really scale it to the whole operations or multiple operations? That's really the difficulty. But there's always solutions, and of course it's working hand. So I work at Carney, based in the Middle East, and of course we work hand in hand with mining companies to see how can we understand their problem and really come to a solution that works and is scalable. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Let's just turn to this perception of the mining industry. We've got two live case studies here in a copper mining company and a phosphate producing company. Saad, what benefits has the region in which your JV has been operating brought to the immediate communities, and what was there before?
I think there are huge positive impact. Before Jebel Said mine, there was Mahd al-Dhahab mine, which maybe 40, 50 years ago. I saw some pictures before and now. You cannot imagine the positive impact happened to the society and the community around the mines in terms of infrastructures. So now the city or those villages connected with the main cities by many roads. The healthcare, the school, and of course the opportunity for those people to have jobs around their houses, and so there is a huge impact. And also on the other side we keep a good and a strong partnership with those community to ensure we have always looking to their needs, support their social programs in all aspects, and have good relationship with them. And we showcase always there is no environmental impact, which is their concern always, is to monitor our environmental performance. So of course there is a huge positive impact in them.
Yeah, and I think the industry's really woken up to the power of its local communities that can be their mouthpieces and their advocates for coming in. Hassan, turning to you, what benefit has the phosphate mine brought to the region? Is it another remote area as well?
Yeah, actually, all we know about the mining industry, it is the highest challenge industry, and especially here in Saudi, because all the mining it is away from the closest city, which is I am talking about where I am working. The closest city it is around 150 kilometers away. But still, this one it is not to stop us to have or to involve the people in the local community. Currently, we already have around 160 to 170 Saudi employees. 90 to 95% of them they are from the local community, from the city around the mining. And we don't stop on that one also. We involve them also, and we appreciate his support every time. Whenever we have any issue, we go back to him and we ask the advice for him if we are facing any problem. And this also, if you look it for the long-term situation, this also it's give feedback to the local community. How is the Saudi Comidat? It is helpful to the local community and improving also the life cycle or the life for the people there, because we believe at the end, either sooner or later, who will run the mining, it is the local community and the Saudi people. So we need to inform him by anyhow to keep him in the loop and to keep him on the side and understanding the mining and how is the mining industry working.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Let's now just turn to the labour aspect to the mining sector. There's been lots of surveys recently, and 9 out of 10 mining leaders have said that labour is a top 10 challenge, and it every year sort of moves up the ladder in terms of a challenge facing them. There's a skills shortage looming, with the average age of miners globally being 46 and 50% of them retiring in the next 10 years. And that next generation isn't coming into the industry. So there's a real human capital aspect here. Ted, what do you think the sector can do to change its perception and to attract that that next generation of employees?
Yeah. At Durin, we were building equipment. So my primary focus is appealing to engineers, hiring robotics and mechanical engineers primarily. And engineers like hard problems to solve, interesting problems. And there are many interesting problems in this industry. It's really an exposure question. And so what I think we need to do is reach out to the top talent, people that are working at a Tesla or SpaceX, and show them, like, we are working on these cool autonomy operations, operating equipment 1,000 meters underground. Like, that is objectively cool. People just don't have any exposure to it. Show them, bring them on site. As part of our sort of onboarding or even interview process sometimes at my company, we bring new hires or candidates out to a drilling site and have them talk to drillers and really learn about the problem. And so we'll sort of judge how interested they are from there. Whether they're asking good questions. But it's exposure is, I think, the main one. 2, we need vision and ambition in this industry. Your average mining major, yes, they have a good mission. They want to make copper for everyone. Awesome. But that's just not inspiring to a top-tier engineer. Tesla or SpaceX, like SpaceX wants to go to Mars. That is an awesome mission. Mining companies don't have that. I think the closest we have would be what the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is trying to do, developing a whole country in this industry from close to scratch. But your average mining company, like, it's just not exciting. We need to make this industry exciting.
Well, that's a wonderful link to Stephanie's current role in terms of the young mining professionals in Riyadh here. But if we can, Stephanie, can you just talk us through, we hear on data that every year the number of mining engineers graduating is declining year on year. How many were in your year, and what have you seen firsthand?
Back at McGill, I remember in our year we were 40, but this was one of the good years. I think typically they're between 10 and 20 at most. So I just want to go back to your previous question, and I think Ted here did touch on some of the issues the mining industry is facing. I think there's twofold. There is the perception of mining, which needs to be changed, and there is attracting young people. So having a value proposition that talks to them. If we go back to the perception of mining, I think it's a lot to do with the communication issue. The mining industry, we have to admit, is a bit of a niche in the sense that whoever is close to mining knows very well about it. But if you're outside of it, and I give the example of Gen Z who don't really have this awareness of mining. So what can be done about this? And I recently attended a conference in London, Resourcing Tomorrow, and there was a communications expert that raised a really good point. For mining companies and mining organizations, they need to pick a message that really talks to mining societal progress, its role in developing communities and helping the people and governments. And then once you have that message, you really have to be, one, very credible in what that message is, and consistent communication is key. Clear and consistent and simple communication. That, I think, is part of it. And if you look at young people, they're very driven by so young people, they want to fight climate change. They want a purpose. So how can we bring out the purpose that mining is offering to society to really talk to those people and attract them into the industry?
Thanks. We might come back to you in a sec, but Saad, population of the kingdom has 60% under the age of 30. It's a very highly educated workforce. With your joint venture, how are you attracting graduates to join, and what programs have you got underway to address this skills shortage?
Very good. First, yes, I agree with you, and this is one of our advantage to have this, high percentage of young people. And we are working in different dimensions. One is collaboration with the universities. So we are addressing the gaps between the university outcomes and the mining needs. And the universities keep, improving their curriculum. And recently we heard about King Fahd University. They are opening, mining major. So this is will, bridge also further the gap between mining and, educational association. We are working on one of our, initiative to target those graduate students, where we design a training program for them and ensure to have, hands-on experience. And we consider them as, our company ambassadors when they go back to their university or to their family, because as Stephanie mentioned in the beginning, it's about awareness. So we want to increase the people awareness about mining and the positive impact it's making, and it's as a backbone for future or sustainable future. So these are kind of efforts we are making to attract people.
Hassan, can we come to Saudi Commandant? Is that what you're seeing as well in terms of, to attract this young talent? Are you having to empower them and provide them with a career path to meet their ambitions? Are you hiring them straight out of university, or are you having to train them up?
Actually, we have two ways with this one. We divide it in two categories. The first one, the people who graduate from university, which have mining engineer or the geologist engineer. And the second category, it is the people who have the medium or high school. The way of dealing with the bachelor degree people, it is we hire him, and because they have the already knowledge and they have already information about what's the mining and how is the mining working. He have most of the basic, and so we put him in 3 month training with the different department. Then after the 3 month, we ask the employee which department he feel himself he will give more output. Then based on his decision, we will put him in that department. The second category, the people who have the lower education, which is either medium or high school, we have already contract with the Saudi Mining Polytechnics, who train the people and graduating as the operator, either in the dump truck or in the shovel or in the drilling machine. And with the time, they will be as in the supervisor level or even superintendent. And if he's improve and improve and improve, then he will be at the time in the manager position. Why not? Because at the end, it is if the employee know his career path, he will give more and more output to the company.
Yeah, thanks. That's really interesting. And again, we have this issue of 3/4 of young people aged 17 to 30, when surveyed, don't see the mining sector as their number one choice. You see some blips when you have high commodity prices and higher opportunities for wages. Stephanie, what initiatives are you underway with your new project here for young mining professionals? What do we have to do beyond purpose to change this?
So Young Mining Professional is a global organization, a nonprofit organization with chapters in every big mining cities around the world. And I recently founded a Young Mining Professional chapter in Riyadh. And the role of YMP is to build a network, a community that puts young people at the center of mining's development, which is key, especially in Saudi Arabia. There's so many young people and such a potential. So when you create a network, you're enabling people to connect, share ideas, mentor each other, and inspire each other to really push the boundaries of what we can do in our industry. And I think that's key to enabling visibility, opportunity, and growth.
Wonderful. And Sad, do you think the fact that you're mining copper and there's very obvious reasons, that's an attraction for them, or do you think it's a lot more to it? Is it the organisation, the makeup, the career opportunities, the impact it has on the region, and so on?
I think it is a mix of things or many reasons. First, the work condition and work environment should be very healthy. The young generation, they like the AI and the new technology which we talk about. So we should have, or we should adapt those technology where they are interesting to work on. Second, the career growth, as Hassan mentioned, this is very important. Uh, in the exit interview of the resigned people, the number one reason is no career growth, visibility, or clarity. So having this visibility or clarity will, motivate them to join the mining sectors, and also is to maybe, to have direct engagement with the schools, with the university, to increase their awareness, show them the future of mining, the opportunities coming ahead. So because it starts from there, where they choose their major in the university.
Ted, I think I can call you this, but not for much longer. But as an outsider, what do you think the sector needs to do to change its image? It's obviously suffering from a lack of capital. It's got a perception issue. By the sounds of it, it's got a purpose issue, I think.
Yep.
What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we do, particularly for young people, is take them to mine sites. Like, I think if you want someone to care about mining, fly them out to Salt Lake City and have them do a tour of Kennecott, see one of the biggest open pits in the world. That's visually stark. That's how you sort of awe someone. But secondly, you can't just look at the mines. You got to teach them about the refineries and downstream manufacturing. Seeing ore come out of the ground, like you can sort of get how like that gets into your phone, but not really. Showing people every step of the supply chain. So, okay, you have rock, now you have metal, drawn into a wire, and now it's in a car. And visually seeing that in person. I think that is like the most actionable thing we can do for young people, to have them care about their supply chains, the bedrock of which is mining.
Yeah, that's and you've seen some really good diagrams of the amount of copper that goes into electric vehicles, which I think I think the mining sector is adopting to that. Given we're at the Future Minerals Forum, Hassan, where do you see the future of this industry going? Do you think it's on the right path to change its perception?
Actually, compared to the 10 years back, there are a significant change. It is developing very fast, and this is why if maybe every 1 month, 2 months, you heard something new about the mining. Either mining company established or mining license it is on the place, or some investor came from outside to invest in Saudi. It is, I think, after 10 years we will find a lot of different in the mining industry, and it is 10 years in the sector like mining. It is short period. It is not a long period actually.
Yeah, it's a long game. Sad, would you agree with that? Have you seen the same changes over the last decade?
Yeah, actually, and what we are seeing now in this FMF for the fourth edition, we saw even more MOUs, more JFEs agreements, and as Hassan mentioned, a lot of exploration license. However, I think the government or the policymaker, along with the vendors, technology vendors, community, they need to accelerate this. Because we are having, as our minister reported last year, our mineral resources is valued around $2.5 trillion untapped minerals. So we need to accelerate this.
And I think that probably brings us on to one of my last points, which is this, I would say, relatively new phenomenon where governments are having to wake up to the idea that they need to secure their own supply, particularly probably in their own countries, has put the sector under the spotlight. Ted, you've got a new president coming up, and you're seeing this in the US. Is this to the benefit of the sector, do you think?
Yes. Yes, government dollars flowing into here would be great, but really what I think we need, particularly in the States and other Western countries, is it needs to be easier to open a mine. There's sort of two ways that we can increase returns in exploration. Exploration basically returns almost no capital to the investors. It's about 1-to-1. You can have sort of higher commodity prices and increase the returns that way, or lower costs. And in the Western world, we are spending billions of dollars being stuck in permitting, being sued by environmental and other groups. Having kind of straightforward regulation such that you can fill out all the paperwork, you are operating a clean organization, not harming the environment, but still maintaining very high standards. That is how we can boost these returns, as well as adopting new technologies that can drive down drilling or other sorts of costs associated with this.
Stephanie, this path to net zero and decarbonisation, what do you think that's an attraction for young people? We've talked about the fact that they are in this digital age. Do you think there's a better understanding for what's under your screen of your phone and where those come from and how they're produced?
I hope so. We have to increase that awareness, but I definitely think that decarbonization and net zero and the path towards that is going to attract young people. And I think there's also a role for mining companies to embrace startups and to embrace, working with local NGOs, local players to really move the needle, to really leverage all these different players to do that. I think that's one. And then second, just going back to your point, mining, most governments have developed their list of critical minerals. So it is on government's agenda. It's unfortunate that the world is at war in different places. So indeed, that it's unfortunate that this has pushed mining on more people's agenda. But yes, it is there, and mining companies have a big role to play there.
Yeah, particularly in Europe, you're seeing a huge desire to supply its own and produce its own minerals, yet permitting is its biggest challenge, and you're not seeing many new sources of supply coming. Whereas in the kingdom here, we're seeing a huge amount of exploration, perhaps because of the underexplored nature. Saad, you're on the growth and exploration phase right now. Is that right, in terms of the next phase for your JV?
Yes, actually we have a couple of JVs undergoing.
And how are you doing that? Are there new technologies that you're using for that? Is it a different approach to how you were doing? Is it cheaper than 10 years ago?
Yeah, actually now we are again adapting some new technology like geophysics. We are using airborne, technology, where the timing or the exploration time will be faster. We can cover a wide area. We can reach to like a remote area, especially on top of mountains or some critical areas. And even the quality of, as our colleague mentioned, the quality of data is more accurate.
Hassan, are you seeing a big increase in exploration activities across the kingdom through your business?
Actually, we are not using the exploration because we are the operation company, but I have idea about it, and we discussed it also with the Ma'adim before about the exploration. In the previous, they are walking in the desert, and it take a lot of time to generate, for example, geologist map. But currently, they just fly the drones in the sky, and it will collect most of the data. Or they use new technology. I think I saw it here last years with some companies came from, if I am not wrong, it's from Europe, and it is just sitting on the ground and sending some ultrasound or something, and it is studying what is the underground mineral and they give you the percent, which is saving a lot of time, a lot of people, and it's helping also for the accuracy of the data and the information compared to the 20 or 30 years before.
So, last question from me. I'm going to ask each of our guest speakers, what does success look like? What does success look like in terms of how the mining industry is perceived in 10, 20 years? What would you like to see, Ted?
Yeah, as sort of a macro scale, resources should not be the limitation to humanity. We should not fail to reach net zero because we don't have enough copper to go into our cars or because copper is too expensive. So I think mining, it's on this industry and the capital allocators building mines and funding exploration to make sure that we have enough supply and that it's done in a safe, environmentally responsible way. And I think to do that, it is going to require new technologies because we are not seeing enough funding coming into this sector to build the 200 mines or whatever we need to reach net zero. We're going to have to get creative.
Stephanie, over to you.
So if I had, of course, if I can imagine, I would imagine a lot of a very dynamic, technology-focused, connected industry. But I think if we can be a bit, maybe, I think number one priority would be safety. I think we have to get to a point where there should be no more either casualties or environmental issues or disaster. That should be a no-brainer. We should get there. There is no reason not to. And once we get there, it's how can we really make sure that we maximize mining's positive impact on every part of society, from government, private sector to society, NGOs, local communities, etc. So really shared model of success and opportunities.
Yeah, transformed viewpoint. Saad, coming to you, what do you see success looking like in 20 years?
Well, I'm very positive. I see, huge success, especially with this, true partnership we are seeing between the policymaker, between the investors and the community. What we need from the policymaker is just watching, the balance between the profitability and the growth and the impact on the sustainability and the environment.
And Hassan, over to you for last remarks.
Actually, from my perspective, the success should be unlimited. So whatever you can reach, you need to reach it. If it is follow the two things, the safety and the environmental, not getting impact for that one. The rest of the thing, whatever you can reach, you just go ahead and give the more opportunity for the local community to run this industry, because at the end you will leave and they will continue on that one.
Very nicely spoken, Hassan. Thank you. We probably have enough time for one question from the floor, if there are any, or we're running out of time. So I'll make final remarks. I think we started out with how can the mining sector make the world a better place, and we've heard from our speakers in terms of so much more than just producing the raw materials we need for net zero and decarbonisation. It's a whole shift in mindset in terms of attracting young talent. Safety we've talked about, providing the key infrastructure for the regions and communicating the benefits it does, not just to the immediate stakeholders, but to countries as a whole. So I look forward to watching the next decade or two with new technologies coming in and a lot more buy-in from the people that we partner with. So thank you very much to all four of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.